Okay, so here's the story about a 10-year-old girl saving a stranded whale, right? And I know what you're thinking. How does a kid even react to something like that? But wait, let's not just gloss over this as another "aw, kids are heroes" moment. Because honestly, this isn't just about Scarlet. It's about all of us. And here's why that matters. Hook. First off, imagine being on a jet ski, minding your own business, and suddenly you see a whale stuck in waist-deep water. That's not just a nature moment, that's a crisis. But Scarlet doesn't panic. She starts splashing water on this massive creature. Why? Because she knows it's the right thing to do. Now, I'm not saying adults wouldn't act, but there's something raw and instinctive about a child's empathy here. It's like no hesitation, no ego. Just, this being is suffering, how do I help? And that, to me, says something deep about human nature. Context setup. But wait, keeping a whale wet isn't some magical fix. The tide had to come in eventually. So was her effort even useful? Here's where it gets interesting. The mom, Chantelle, says they stayed until authorities arrived. But another couple chose to stay longer. So what's the line between helping and waiting? I think we often overestimate our control in these situations. Nature's going to do its thing. But the act of trying? That's what shapes us. Scarlet didn't save the whale. The ocean did. But the fact she cared enough to try? That's the kind of humility we need more of in conservation. Key idea 1 plus analysis. And then there's the mom's quote, "It ruined the rest of the day." Wait, really? She's heartbroken over a whale she didn't even know, worrying about its survival. That's not just empathy. That's a symptom of how connected we've become to these animals. Whales aren't just marine life anymore. They're cultural symbols, climate warriors, icons of our guilt and hope. We project so much onto them that when one strands, it feels like a personal failure. But what if we're asking the wrong questions? Like, why do we assume every stranded whale needs saving? What if some are just dying? Uncomfortable truth? Maybe. But that's the tension we can't ignore. Key idea 2 plus commentary. Oh, and the location? A remote tidal estuary on Kari. Not some tourist trap. That's key. Because here's the irony. The less humans interfere, the better whales survive. Yet in this case, human presence was both the problem and the solution. Wait, the whale was stranded alone. No pod. No natural guidance. So did humans cause this? Maybe. But the mom's been coming here for 20 years watching whales. There's a whole history here of observation without intervention. Until now. So where's the line between stewardship and intrusion? Key idea 3 plus perspective. And let's talk about that viral footage. Why does this story spread? Because it's a redemption arc. A child, a whale, a happy ending. But what if the whale had died? Would that make Scarlet's effort pointless? No. Because the value isn't in the outcome. It's in the act itself. In a world where we feel powerless about climate, pollution, extinction, this is a microcosm of our desire to do something. Even if it's just splashing water. Deeper insight. So here's my final thought. Scarlet's story isn't about heroism. It's about instinct. The raw, unfiltered human impulse to care. And maybe that's more important than we realize. Because if we can channel that same urgency into systemic change, policies, pollution, habitat protection, then maybe every splash of water becomes a wave. Literally. Closing thought.